Well, hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's evening edition of the Goldie Show with your host, Goldie Ghamari. That's me. That's me. That's why it's called the Goldie Show. Um, I couldn't come up with a more, I don't know, creative name or whatever. So I just kind of made it the Goldie Show months ago, and there you go. That's what it is. So thank you everyone for joining. Tonight we're doing a watch party of the Senate hearing, or what is it called? The congressional, sorry, I say Senate, but it's the congressional hearing with Admiral Brad Cooper. It's a 3 hour long hearing. And, for me as a former politician and, political nerd, I actually used to chair numerous committees myself when I was a politician. So this stuff is like my bread and butter. And I was going to watch it on my own, but I figured I might as well live stream it and we can watch it together and I can provide my commentary because I've seen a few clips here and there, and this is explosive. Like the stuff that Admiral Brad Cooper says, it's pretty much the exact same thing that, I have been saying for the last 144 whatever days, if not longer, about Iran and Iranians and the Iranian revolution, right? So, get settled in, grab a, oh my gosh, oh, guys, I forgot to grab a bubbly. Oh no, I only have a water bottle. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will be right back because I need to go grab my bubbly because, bubbly is the unofficial sponsor because I literally drink sparkling water all the time. So wow, okay. I'm kind of embarrassed now because I literally forgot to bring my bubbly. I don't know. Oh my gosh, guys. You know what though? I'll tell you why I forgot to bring my bubbly. Um so Craig is asking, this hearing already took place, but Goldie's watching it for the first time. Exactly. So this hearing took place yesterday. I have not watched it yet. I've seen a few clips here and there, and those clips and sound bites are explosive. So, being the political nerd that I am, like I've literally sat in hearings for 12 hours at a time, like back to back nonstop. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I watch on my own. And I figured I might as well live stream it. And, you guys can take advantage of my political knowledge, or you can laugh at me being a political nerd. But I do want to say, one of the reasons that I forgot my bubbly is because I'm still so livid. I'm absolutely livid about FIFA's decision to ban the lion and sun flag. And I know I haven't been wearing my lion and sun flag in every single episode of Iran Revolution Live lately, but like with what FIFA has done, like they have enraged not just the Iranian diaspora, but Iranians in occupied Iran. Like 90 million Iranians are furious right now. So I don't know if you've actually seen the video that I posted. I think it was like about an hour ago. Did you guys, if you want, like, while I go grab my bubbly or whatever, do you want me to play the video that I posted? Do you want to watch that? Because maybe that'll explain why I'm just a little bit like I'm furious. I'm furious because we Iranians, we have been fighting to overthrow the Islamic Republic for 47 years, and it seems like every single institution is literally against us, right? Like the United Nations is garbage. And now, all these other institutions, and now FIFA has now joined the club of the anti-Iranian pro-Islamic regime propaganda. So, I mean, if you want, I could share that with you guys. All right, okay, all right. I'll play the video. It's wait, how long is the video? Okay, the video is about 20 minutes long, so sure. Okay. I'll play the video, but this is not like my usual calm video. I do get it's more like a Goldie rant. Although it's like a mix. It's a mix. But all right, okay. All right. Well, why not? Why not? I mean, I had Admiral Brad Cooper ready to go, but we will get into that right after. So, yeah, all right, why not? So, here's the video on my YouTube channel. Let me play this for you guys, and I will be right back while I get my bubbly. Here we go. I want to talk about something that should outrage every single person who believes in freedom of speech, cultural identity, and basic human dignity. Because according to multiple reports, including the New York Post and coverage from Iran International, FIFA is banning the historic lion and sun flag of Iran from stadiums during the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Think about how insane that is for a second. The lion and sun flag is not some extremist symbol. It's not a terrorist flag. It's not a hate symbol. The lion and sun flag, the one that you see up above my head and the one that I'm proudly wearing over my shoulders, this is the historic flag of Iran. It's a flag that existed long before the Islamic regime invaded Iran. And it's a flag that will exist long after the Islamic regime occupying Iran is eradicated and sent to the ash heap of history. The lion and sun flag is a flag that's connected to thousands of years of Iranian civilization and identity. And FIFA, an organization that constantly lectures the world about diversity and inclusion and representation, well, FIFA is apparently prepared to tell millions of Iranians in the diaspora that our identity is not welcome inside World Cup stadiums. Meanwhile, the flag of the Islamic regime occupying Iran, a regime that's responsible for terrorism, for executions, for the oppression of women, the suppression of minorities, hostage taking, and the killing of innocent, unarmed Iranian protesters, is apparently acceptable. Shame on FIFA. And this is the contradiction that I want to discuss today. Because this is bigger than just soccer. This is bigger than sports. This is about who gets to define the Iranian identity on the world stage. And honestly, this decision perfectly exposes the hypocrisy of modern international institutions. I'm Goldie Ghamari, and you're watching The Goldie Show. Let's start with the basics. For people who are not Iranian or who are unfamiliar with Iranian history, the lion and sun symbol is one of the oldest and most recognized symbols associated with Iran. The lion and sun emblem has existed for centuries. The lion and sun symbol has existed long before the Islamic regime occupied Iran in 1979. It has existed long before the Ayatollahs, long before the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and in fact, long before the invention of Islam. For millions of Iranians around the world, the lion and sun flag represents Iranian civilization and identity, historical continuity, secular nationalism, and opposition to the Islamic regime that's occupying Iran. And that matters, especially after all of the movements that we have had over the years, and especially after the massacre of over 40,000 innocent unarmed Iranians on January 8 and 9, when during the Lion and Sun Revolution, Iranians went out into the streets waving this flag and chanting Javid Shah. Over the last several years, the Lion and Sun flag has increasingly become a symbol used by anti-regime and pro-freedom Iranians around the world, including in occupied Iran. And you've seen it in protests in Toronto, in Los Angeles, London, Berlin, Paris, even in protests in occupied Iran. Millions of Iranians who fled the Islamic regime carry this flag because we do not recognize the regime as representing Iran. In fact, the Islamic regime is anti-Iranian, and that distinction is critical because the Islamic Republic is not Iran. The regime is not the nation. The government is not the civilization. But FIFA seems incapable of understanding that distinction. Or worse, maybe they understand it perfectly and simply don't care. Now let's talk about what reportedly happened. According to reporting from the New York Post and other outlets, FIFA is expected to prohibit fans from bringing the Lion and Sun flag or related apparel into World Cup stadiums. And according to reports from Iran International, officials connected to the Islamic Republic of Iran's Football Federation have demanded that only the terrorist flag of the Islamic regime be permitted at matches involving Iran. Think about the implications of that. A regime that brutally crushed protesters in 2022. A regime that slaughtered over 40,000 innocent unarmed Iranians in January 2026. A regime accused of executing dissidents. A regime that has jailed journalists, tortured activists, and killed women for refusing mandatory hijab laws. That regime, that same terrorist Islamic regime, is now apparently influencing what Iranian fans are allowed to display at the World Cup, which, by the way, is being held in the United States. And that should terrify everyone. Because what this means in practice is simple. The Islamic regime occupying Iran is attempting to erase Iranian dissidents from the global stage. And FIFA appears willing to help them do it. This is where the hypocrisy becomes impossible to ignore. Because FIFA constantly claims that football is for everyone. They talk endlessly about inclusion and representation and human rights and diversity. Really? Because I remember FIFA allowing all kinds of political symbolism in recent years. I remember entire campaigns around social causes. I remember symbolic gestures, armbands, statements, kneeling, political messaging. But suddenly, when Iranian dissidents want to wave our historic national flag, FIFA all of a sudden discovers the importance of neutrality? Are you kidding me? Give me a break. This is selective neutrality. And selective neutrality is not neutrality at all. It is political bias disguised as policy. And let's also remember something else. FIFA already faced massive backlash during the 2022 FIFA World Cup over issues involving freedom of expression. We remember the controversy surrounding the One Love armbands and FIFA threatening sanctions against players. At the time, FIFA claimed it wanted to avoid political controversy. But now we're seeing the same pattern again. Only this time, the victims are the Iranian people fighting for freedom and democracy against a brutal and terrorist Islamic dictatorship. And here's what makes this especially outrageous. The Lion and Sun flag is not a fringe symbol among the Iranian people. It is mainstream. You see it at rallies, at concerts, at political events, at community gatherings. You see it at human rights protests. You see it at sports events. You also see it inside of occupied Iran. The Lion and Sun flag is carried by all Iranians, regardless of political affiliation. It's carried by monarchists, by Republicans, by secular Democrats, liberals, conservatives, leftists, centrists, all kinds of anti-regime Iranians. Why? Because for many Iranians, it represents Iran before the Islamic regime hijacked our country in 1979. And I want people to really think about the symbolism here. Imagine telling Cubans they cannot wave the Cuban flag used before Castro. Imagine telling Russians opposed to Putin they cannot display anti-Soviet Russian symbols. Imagine telling Venezuelan dissidents they cannot display opposition imagery. That would be immediately recognized as political suppression. So why is it acceptable when it happens to Iranians? Why are the Iranian people always expected to silence ourselves for the comfort of authoritarian regimes? And let's be honest about something else. This is not really about fan safety. It's not about avoiding conflict, and it's not about neutrality. This is about pressure, political pressure, because the Islamic Republic understands something very important. The lion and sun flag is powerful. It represents a competing vision of Iran, a secular Iran, a historical Iran, a non-Islamist Iran, a free Iran. And that scares the Islamic regime. Why do you think the terrorist Islamic regime occupying Iran hates the lion and sun flag so much? It's because symbols matter, flags matter, identity matters. And the regime knows that when millions of people around the world see Iranian fans waving the lion and sun flag, it weakens the Islamic regime's monopoly over representing Iran internationally. That is why they obsess over it. And by the way, this controversy is happening during an already explosive geopolitical moment. Iran's participation in the 2026 World Cup has already become controversial because of tensions involving the United States, Israel, and the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. There have already been protests calling on FIFA to ban the Islamic regime entirely from the tournament because critics argue, and I agree with them by the way, that the national soccer team of Iran represents the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It does not represent the Iranian people. Islamic regime officials reportedly demanded restrictions on opposition symbols and even pride flags during matches. So this is not happening in isolation. This is part of a larger effort by the Islamic regime occupying Iran to control the narrative surrounding Iran at the World Cup. Now, I want to address another important issue because some people will say, well, FIFA bans political symbols. Okay, then explain this. How is the lion and sun flag political, but the flag of the terrorist Islamic Republic occupying Iran is not political? Seriously, the Islamic Republic flag itself is ideological. It literally emerged from the 1979 Islamic coup d'etat of Iran. The current emblem on the Islamic regime garbage terrorist flag was created specifically to symbolize the Islamic Republic. The wording and the lettering is all in Arabic. It says Allahu Akbar, which is Arabic, and the emblem in the middle says Allah, which is again Arabic. By the way, we Iranians, we don't speak Arabic, we speak Persian. So the Islamic Republic flag is not actually the flag of Iran, it's the flag of the foreign occupying invaders. Similar to how the flag of Nazi Germany is not the flag of Germany. The flag of Nazi Germany was the flag of the occupiers. So if FIFA was truly neutral, you could argue both flags are political, but instead, FIFA is effectively choosing one side. The side of the ruling Islamic regime, the side of the totalitarian dictatorship, the side of the terrorists. That's the side that FIFA is choosing, and that is not neutrality. That is endorsement of a totalitarian Islamic dictatorship through selective enforcement. And one of the things that frustrates us Iranians the most is the complete erasure of our history and the attempt by the Islamic regime occupying Iran to erase and eradicate our Iranian identity, culture, and heritage. Because Iran did not begin in 1979. The Iranian civilization is thousands of years old. We existed for thousands of years before Islam was invented, and the lion and sun symbol predates the Islamic Republic occupying Iran by thousands of years. It is tied to Iranian history, Iranian monarchy, Iranian art, Iranian culture, and most importantly, the Iranian identity. Yet somehow, FIFA wants the world to pretend that the only legitimate symbol of occupied Iran is a symbol created by a revolutionary Islamist dictatorship less than 50 years ago. That is historical erasure. And there's another layer here people should pay attention to. This World Cup is taking place in North America. The United States and Canada both have enormous Iranian diaspora populations, especially in cities like Los Angeles, Vancouver, and Toronto. Many of these people fled persecution. Many of us have lost family members. Many of us have escaped political repression. And now FIFA has the audacity to tell us that the symbol representing the country of Iran that we love so much is not allowed inside their stadiums. That is deeply insulting. And here's what I think FIFA fundamentally misunderstands. The lion and sun flag is not merely nostalgia. For many of us, in fact, for the vast majority of us, the lion and sun flag represents hope. Hope for a future Iran that is secular, democratic, and free from authoritarian Islamic rule. That is why younger generations of Iranians have increasingly embraced it during protests, both inside and outside of occupied Iran. It has become a symbol of resistance against the Islamic regime. And maybe that is exactly why the regime wants it banned, because authoritarian systems fear alternative symbols of legitimacy. I also think FIFA is underestimating the backlash that this decision will create, because once people begin asking questions, the optics become terrible. Imagine the headlines. Historic Iranian flag banned while Islamic regime flag allowed. That sounds awful because it is awful. And it creates a perception, whether FIFA likes it or not, that international institutions are bending to authoritarian Islamic dictatorships. There's also a larger issue here about the role of sports organizations in global politics. FIFA always claims it is apolitical, but FIFA is actually one of the most political organizations in the world. Every hosting decision is political. Every sponsorship decision is political. Every enforcement decision is political. And when FIFA selectively bans symbols associated with dissidents while accommodating authoritarian dictatorships, we notice. What's especially interesting is that even some legal and sports commentators have questioned whether FIFA even has the authority to enforce this kind of ban on fans in the way reports suggest. That debate itself tells you how controversial this situation is, because many observers recognize that the lion and sun flag does not fall into categories typically associated with hate symbols or extremist propaganda. The lion and sun flag is a historic national symbol. I think this controversial decision by FIFA will probably backfire, because the more FIFA tries to suppress the lion and sun flag, the more FIFA tries to suppress the Iranian people, the more attention we will receive. And that's already happening online, because people across X, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, and diaspora communities are talking about this non-stop. And when institutions attempt to suppress identity symbols, those symbols often become even more powerful. And at the end of the day, this controversy raises one fundamental question. Who represents Iran? Is Iran represented exclusively by the Islamic regime that's occupying Iran? Or do millions of Iranians in occupied Iran and around the world also have a right to express our identity, history, and vision for our country? Because if FIFA says only the Islamic regime symbols are acceptable, then FIFA is taking a side. And FIFA is taking the wrong side, whether they admit it or not. And this is why so many of us Iranians feel abandoned by international institutions in general. We watch the world celebrate freedom and diversity while our own voices are silenced whenever it becomes politically inconvenient. We're told our history is too controversial, our flag is too political, our fight against the Islamic regime is Islamophobic, our identity is too uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the terrorist Islamic regime gets treated as the sole legitimate representative of Iran. And that is the injustice at the center of this story. I'll end with this. Football belongs to the fans, not governments, not dictatorships, and not political organizations. And if the World Cup truly represents the world, then Iranian fans should have the right to peacefully display our historic symbols of our nation and culture. Because Iran is bigger than the Islamic Republic. Iran existed for thousands of years before the Ayatollahs. And you know something? Iran will exist long after they're gone from our sacred country. And now you know. All right, guys, there you go. So that was my rant from earlier today, where I was, I was upset, and that's why I forgot my bubbly. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And the bubbly flavor tonight is blueberry pomegranate, because pomegranate is actually one of the original fruits that comes from Iran. So pomegranate is an Iranian fruit. There you go. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit nationalistic. I think all Iranians are, because it's just, guys, it's not enough that we have to fight a brutal totalitarian Islamic dictatorship that's literally murdering us every day. We also have to fight international institutions that are trying to silence our voices, right? And are, standing on the side of terrorism. So anyways, having said that, I have my pomegranate. I think a few of you, I saw a few comments in the live stream chat. They were like, don't share the whole video, let people go watch it individually because you make, more money that way. Guys, I don't do this for the money. I mean, obviously, like I'm grateful that, my channel is big enough that, there's, some sort of revenue that comes in, but I don't care. I don't care about the revenue. I've shared numerous videos of myself. I'm more interested in getting the message out there. But I mean, if you guys want to support me, of course, go watch the video, like it, share it with your networks, share it with other people. Because I mean, it is important for people to know what's going on with FIFA. But having said that, let's go to Admiral Brad Cooper now, because I have been meaning to watch this video, and it is a 3-hour long video, which means with my commentary, I don't know, it might go on a little bit longer. Who knows? But let's get going, because this is literally the political nerd in me. Although at 9 o'clock, we will do a quick break and go to Sean Hannity and see if Sean Hannity has any Iran updates. But having said that, let's go, because this is literally my bread and butter right now. So guys, for those who are watching, and I will update the banner down below, but this was Admiral Brad Cooper testifying before the House Committee on the Iran conflict yesterday, May 19th. Let me put on the closed captions as well. That might make it easier.
The lesson is clear. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. President Trump is committed to ensuring that never happens. Last summer, Operation Midnight Hammer delivered a destructive blow to Iran's nuclear program. Operation Epic Fury shattered the regime's ability to shield that program with its conventional forces. Despite the criticism, there should be no confusion about what this operation set out to achieve. Destroy Iran's ballistic missiles and drone capabilities, cripple Iran's navy, and third, dismantle Iran's defense industrial base to prevent it from projecting power outside its borders. And the results were decisive. To quote Admiral Cooper, his written statement, in 38 days, we rolled back 40 years of Iranian military investment, close quote. More than 85% of Iran's ballistic missile, drone, and naval defense industrial base has been damaged or destroyed. The regime's ability to stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has been set back by years. Iran's air force is no more. Over 90% of Iran's traditional navy has been sunk. And Iran is now far less capable of sustaining terrorist proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas. This operation also demonstrated the unmatched professionalism, lethality, and courage of the American warfighter. Every American should take pride in what our forces accomplished under extraordinarily demanding conditions. And we must honor the 13 brave Americans who made the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our country. Operation Epic Fury also demonstrated the enduring strength of America's alliances and partnerships. That begins with Israel, a model ally, fought alongside the United States throughout this campaign. Our Gulf partners and Jordan provided critical access, basing, and overflight support. So too did our NATO allies. Almost without exception, our NATO allies opened their bases and their airspace to support this mission. That access was critical to sustaining an operation of this scale. But this conflict also reminded us who our friends are not. China and Russia reportedly assisted Iran during this.
Wow. Okay. So, this is really interesting because I actually did an interview today with One America News Network. I think that's going live at 10 p.m. So maybe I'll see if we can tune into that and watch that live. But I love Chanel Rion. She's my favorite. But we were talking about China and Russia. And I basically said, listen, President Trump's trip to China, this was basically Trump saying to China that you can no longer use the Islamic regime as, one of the pawns on the game of global chess. And it's really interesting that Admiral Brad Cooper is calling out China and Russia. And while this congressional, House committee hearing was happening, Scott Bessent, if you recall, yesterday at the same time, the U.S. Secretary, U.S. Treasury Department, they put out a press release where they basically said that they're sanctioning a whole bunch of companies in Hong Kong and the UAE and China for laundering money for the Islamic regime. Right? So it's very interesting, guys. So this is why it's so critical to look at you have to look at the holistic picture here. Like you can't look at individuals in just a narrow box. You have to look at the big picture. So the big picture here is that, on the same day that Scott Bessent is sanctioning a whole bunch of UAE and Chinese companies for helping launder money for the Islamic regime. At the same time, Admiral Brad Cooper is now openly confirming what we've known all along, that Russia and China have been assisting the Islamic regime against the United States, right? And it's interesting that this is coming right after President Trump returns from Beijing, which again goes to show that President Trump's trip to Beijing, it was not appeasement, because a lot of people were like, oh, President Trump is going to kiss the ring, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely not. President Trump went to Beijing to put China in their place, right? That's what it was. President Trump's trip to China was basically a show of strength and military power. Anyways, let's continue.
This conflict
Let me go back
that should China, but this conflict also reminded us who our friends are not. China and Russia reportedly assisted Iran during this conflict. That should concern every American citizen.
Yeah.
Any effort by our adversaries to help Iran rebuild its military must carry consequences. And while Operation Epic Fury has concluded, pressure on the Iranian regime continues. I want to hear more from Admiral Cooper about how CENTCOM's current posture, including the blockade of the Iranian ports, is supporting diplomatic efforts by increasing pressure on what remains of the regime. My understanding is that the damage to Iran's oil infrastructure and the loss of millions of dollars in daily revenue are imposing severe economic cost on Tehran. That pressure matters because not only
it's literally like $500 million a day. It's $500 million a day. And that means something.
Must Iran never obtain a nuclear weapon, it must also not be allowed to dominate the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. China is watching closely to see whether the United States will defend freedom of navigation, protect global commerce, and respond decisively to aggression. We must not falter in our resolve. At the same time, we must not forget.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with that. China is 100% watching because they're seeing how the United States is going to act and respond to the Islamic regime. And the way that the United States responds will determine how China will move forward, right? Because China is pretty much using the Islamic regime as sort of a litmus test to see whether or not the United States is willing to, fold for, some garbage third world Durka Islamic dictatorship. Because if guys, here's the thing, and I think President Trump and his administration knows this very well. If the United States folds to the Islamic regime occupying Iran, that will send a signal to Russia and China that they can pressure the United States into doing whatever they want, and the United States will fold because of the pressure coming from anti-American institutions, like the Democrats and the woke left and the jihadis and the communists and whatever, right? So that's really important here. So the Islamic regime is the litmus test, and Russia and China are definitely watching very, very closely.
Yet the area of the Middle East and Africa remain hotbeds of terrorism. It is imperative that we continue hunting ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, and other terrorist groups before they can threaten our homeland. I want to hear from both commanders about how they are working with regional partners to keep terrorists on the run. The successful operation over the weekend targeting the second in command of...
Oh, wait, sorry. We have a question here from someone. So Eric is asking, Goldie, will you marry me? No, but I will ban you. So you're banned. All right, let's continue.
ISIS in Nigeria demonstrated once again that terrorists have no refuge from the United States military or our partners. General Anderson, to sustain that pressure, I want your assessment of whether AFRICOM has the necessary resources. I look forward to hearing from all of our witnesses today. I yield to the ranking member, my friend Adam Smith, for any opening statement he may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank our witnesses for coming before us today. The CENTCOM and AFRICOM AORs are incredibly important. And if there's one word to sum it up right now, it's instability. And that instability is incredibly dangerous. Certainly, we will talk, I know, a great deal about the war against Iran and the instability in the Middle East. But Africa is also a very unstable place right now. We are engaged in bombing campaign from time to time. And
yeah, the reason that Africa is experiencing instability is because the Islamic regime is exporting its jihad around the world, right? Like the instability you're seeing in all of these places is because the radical jihadi Muslims are expanding their revolution, and they're the ones that are creating the instability, and they're being funded by the Islamic regime and by Qatar and by other, Middle Eastern countries as well. So yeah, obviously there's instability because everyone has tried to just ignore the Islamic regime. Meanwhile, the Islamic regime has been quietly importing the revolution. So, wow. Oh no, there's instability. Oh no, the Muslims are killing Christians in Nigeria. Gee, I wonder why. Why is the Nigerian Christian genocide happening? It's because it's being funded by the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamic regime because they're importing their jihad. And these are the same Africans that we're seeing right now in occupied Iran that are walking around and saying, Allahu Akbar, Durkha, whatever. And we've shared the videos of that. Here, let me show you guys. Let me show you. I'll bring it up. Like we shared it earlier today, but oh wait, I think it was this account. It was this account here where they shared the video of like the literally like Muslim Africans right here. Look at this, guys. Yeah. You want to know why there's instability in the Middle East? Why there's instability in Africa? Sure, there's instability in Africa because the Islamic regime, which is a foreign occupying invader, right? They're not even Iranian. The Islamic regime, which is just all it cares about is exporting its jihad, right? They're not only invading Iran, they've invaded various African countries. And now they've literally brought Africans, they've brought like Muslim jihadi Africans to Iran, right? So they're spending Iranian money that should go to the Iranian people. They're spending Iranian money on their Muslim jihadi prostitutes, bringing them to Iran, and they're making them like go on TV and say, "Oh, we support Khamenei," right? And these are the same jihadi Islamist Durkha terrorists that are also murdering Christians in Africa. Watch this. Watch. Like, it's disgusting.
I love Khamenei. And I say Khamenei. Mimi naona Khamenei whip and me more like Sayyid Khamenei. Tunampenda Sayyid Khamenei. Never say Khamenei fe. Mamnunga Sayyid Khamenei. I love Khamenei. And I say Sayyid
You see that? You see that? Not a single Iranian. Just a whole bunch of like random African Durkha Muslim jihadis who've been indoctrinated by the Islamic regime. So going back to this dude, going back to like this freaking genius, yeah, the instability in Africa is caused by the existence of the Islamic regime. So you want to get rid of instability in the Middle East and in Africa and a whole bunch of other places? Get rid of the Islamic regime. But this guy doesn't see it. Or I don't know, maybe he does see it, but he's been paid off. I don't know. I don't know who this guy is. But I'm just saying, you talk about instability in Africa, everyone knows the instability in Africa is caused by jihad.
A very unstable place right now. We are really dangerous. Certainly, we will talk, I know, a great deal about the war against Iran and the instability in the Middle East, but Africa is also a very unstable place right now. We are engaged in bombing campaign from time to time in Nigeria. ISIS and ISIS affiliates are rising, particularly in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So that instability is definitely making us less safe. Terrorist organizations have bases of support. An almost caliphate-like situation is existing in Africa. And obviously, we've seen the chaos in the Middle East with the rise of Shia-backed militias in Iraq, the ongoing war between Israel and Lebanon, and obviously the ongoing conflict with Iran, the shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz.
You idiot. The war is not between Israel and Lebanon. The war is between Hezbollah and Israel. And by the way, it was Hezbollah. Hezbollah is created by the Islamic regime, and Hezbollah is 100% funded by the Islamic regime. So the war is not between Lebanon and Hezbollah because the Lebanese people have no issue with Israel. The war is between Hezbollah, which is basically a proxy of the Islamic regime, right? But he's saying Lebanon, right? It's not between Lebanon and Israel. And by the way, Israel didn't start the war. It was Hezbollah that started the war on behalf of the Islamic regime occupying Iran. Guys, it's all connected.
goes beyond the national security threat in terms of terrorism, the economy, the impact it's having certainly on our economy, but the global economy as well. And then we can also have the rise of disease. We have a strain of Ebola that apparently is stronger than usual growing up in the DRC, where there is also instability. So the number one biggest thing is, how can we bring more stability to the region, work with partners, allies, others in the region to get us to a better place than we are in right now, because it is as bad as it's been for a very, very long time. On Iran, I disagree with the chairman, unsurprisingly. Yes, we have knocked back a lot of Iran's capability. The truth of the matter is, in all the questions that I've asked, we don't know for sure how much. We don't know exactly how many ballistic missiles they have, what their capabilities are. We know it has been substantially weakened, but we don't have specific answers to that. We also have to worry.
Yeah, you don't have specific answers to that because the Islamic regime has underground bunkers, and also there have been no boots on the ground. So what are you being a hypocrite? Because on one hand, you're like, no boots on the ground, and then on the other hand, you're like, we don't have the specific answers. Yeah, because there's no boots on the ground. So pick a side. Pick a side, buddy. And it's wild that he's portraying this as if this is some sort of failure of CENTCOM.
About the fact that Russia, China, and North Korea are more than willing to be helpful to Iran. And
oh, really? How have they been helpful? Wow. So basically, what this dude is saying is that we should not exterminate an enemy that poses an existential threat to the United States, because who knows what Russia, China, and North Korea would do. So in other words, he's basically saying that the United States should just be beholden to Russia, China, and North Korea. Wow. Wow.
I'm not sure, threats aside, we're in a position to change their mind about that. So we have to be worried about that. But we do know for sure, whatever capability Iran has, they have the capability to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And frankly, I don't care whether they've got 75% less ballistic missiles, 80% less ballistic missiles. They clearly, the regime is in place. It's not going anywhere. It is more hardline than it was when this war started. And
that's how could the Islamic regime be more hardline? Where are you getting your facts from? How could the Islamic regime be more hardline? Because the same people are still in charge. This is the narrative that frustrates me. So basically, what he's saying is the Islamic regime is there. It's not going anywhere, right? So this dude, this guy is so blinded by his Trump derangement syndrome that he's literally saying that, oh, America has lost because the Islamic regime didn't fall right away. The stupidity here is mind-boggling, right?
And they have done something that they had not previously done, which is shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is causing massive economic disasters for us and for the entire world. So, we can go through the body count here and say, we destroyed this many ballistic missiles, we destroyed this many launchers, we set their capability back. That's all fascinating. Strategically, we are in a disaster right now. And that's what needs to be fixed. And we do not see a path out of that. Let's just focus on the nuclear weapon program, because any criticism of the war is sort of met with, well, gosh, if it wasn't for the war, Iran would have already detonated nuclear weapons in the Middle East.
Yeah,
that's completely ridiculous. I mean, that's an argument.
You idiot. That's exactly what the Islamic regime wants to do. The Islamic regime has been bragging on Islamic regime state TV that they plan on building nuclear bombs, and they literally make propaganda videos showing them booming the United States and Israel and half the world. They literally make propaganda videos bragging about how it's their Allah-given right to build a nuclear bomb, and how they want to bomb the rest of the world so they can bring the Mahdi and whatever weird pedophile Islamic cult they have, right? So I cannot believe that this guy is what an idiot. This guy is he is not America first. This guy is an American traitor. He's an American traitor, right? This is wild. This is wild. But guys, here's the thing. The Democrats, I guarantee you, the Democrats will never, ever admit or acknowledge that they have to get rid of the Islamic regime. Why? Because it was Jimmy Carter and the Democrats that helped bring in the Islamic regime in the first place. So if the Democrats today, right, if the Democrats today stand against the Islamic regime, then that means they have to admit that, you know, Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer, the retarded peanut farmer, was wrong in, you know, backing a brutal Islamic totalitarian dictatorship, right? So shame on this guy. And yeah, this is why the Democrats refuse to acknowledge that the Islamic regime needs to go. Because if they acknowledge it needs to go, then they're necessarily acknowledging that the fact that they brought them in the first place was a mistake. And of course, he's also, you know, he's also speaking to his jihadi base, right? So the Democrats have completely lost the plot here.
Criticism of the
Shame on you, you weird bald guy. Shame on you.
war is sort of met with, well, gosh, if it wasn't for the war, Iran would have already detonated nuclear weapons in the Middle East.
Yes, they would have.
That's completely ridiculous.
No,
I mean, that's an
ridiculous.
argument for Fox News and Newsmax maybe, but in the real world, that doesn't justify what has happened.
Wow, in the real world, what's your real world? CNN? Is CNN your real world? CNN, the Islamic regime propaganda media outlet that goes to the Islamic regime and like portrays like Islamic regime propaganda? Is that the real world you're talking about, you psycho?
Because the nuclear program for Iran is no weaker today than it was when this war started.
Yes, it was.
Which have destroyed none
What do you mean?
of their nuclear material.
What do you mean the United States destroyed at least 3 nuclear facilities? All the top nuclear scientists are gone. Like, what are you talking about, you idiot? Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Look at the boom boom bingo sheet. Look at the boom boom bingo sheet, guys. You see this? Do you see this? Nuclear program. All of their top scientists have been boom boomed. All of the top scientists, all of the top nuclear scientists have been boom boomed. How is that not weakening the nuclear program when their top nuclear scientists have been boom boomed? Oh my gosh, this guy is literally an idiot.
And set them back not one tiny little bit. The only thing that has changed on Iran's nuclear program, they are now unwilling to negotiate about it. They were willing.
No, they were never willing to negotiate about it, you idiot. They were never willing to negotiate about it. They lied. They lied. When their lips are moving, they're lying. They were not negotiating. They were lying. They were saying that, oh, you know, yes, you know, we'll do this, we'll do that. And then they literally went and they spent billions of dollars building underground nuclear facilities in mountains. Guys, the Islamic regime was building nuclear facilities underground in mountains. What normal government does that? What normal country does that? If you are, you know, pursuing, you know, uranium enrichment for peaceful purposes, why the heck would you build secret nuclear facilities underground in mountains, you idiot? Wow. And the Islamic regime was never willing to negotiate on it. Never. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, this is wild.
To negotiate. They were actively negotiating about it when we started this.
No, they were never negotiating. They were lying. It's called takia. It's called takia. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like, this guy is literally willing to, this guy is prepared to call out America, and he is prepared to take the side of the Islamic regime, which is the enemy of the United States, just because he suffers from Trump derangement syndrome. That's literally what's happening here. Because nothing he's saying makes sense. Nothing he's saying makes sense. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay, so I see a super chat. So Kuda says, I like watching stuff like this with you and your commentary. It's like watching TV with you, which always makes TV better. IMO. Thank you. I agree. Yeah, guys. So honestly, I appreciate that you guys are enjoying my rants, because if I wasn't live streaming this and watching it with you guys, I would be watching this, like I would just be live streaming this on my TV, and I would just be like yelling at my TV like a crazy person. So at least this way, instead of yelling at my TV all by myself, I'm yelling at my computer monitor, and you guys are here to hear my rants, I guess. But yeah, I do a lot of yelling, especially when it comes to like politicians, because they're just so stupid. But yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Yes, we're watching TV together. It's a documentary, not a it's a congressional hearing watch party. Although, guys, we're only oh my gosh. We're literally oh my gosh, I was so distracted. I missed Sean Hannity. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I missed what he was saying about Iran. Jeez. See, that's how distracted I was. Oh my gosh. Let me see. Let me see if I missed it. Wait, let me see if I missed it. I feel terrible now. Oh, there we go.
I think it's a great thing to do.
Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt is here now with more. Senator Schmidt, thank you for being here. Tell us how the Senate is breaking down the latest developments in Iran.
Well, I think the president's been pretty clear about what the mission here is, and has really accomplished what he set out to do, which was to knock back their nuclear program in Iran and to knock back their conventional military capability. And so I think the president has shown a great deal of patience and prudence trying to get to a deal. You just heard in that quote, that's what he would like to do. So if he can make further progress on that point, to make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon, that's really his goal here. And I think he's engaged in serious, thoughtful diplomacy. He had a lot of success there, which made time for the ceasefire, which has now made time for the diplomacy. And again, I think the president in his quote there is seeking a deal here to ensure that Iran doesn't get that nuclear weapon.
Indeed, Senator Schmidt, the president has been consistent from the beginning. The mission set here is to make sure they don't enrich uranium and get their hands on a nuke. And if you look at the responsible polling questions, Senator Schmidt, they do ask Americans, are you concerned that Iran could get nuclear weapons? And if they were to, do you think they can harm Americans? And those numbers go way up. Why is it that politics no longer stops at the water's edge as it did for years? Why is it that we can't get more Democrats to really make good on the promise of so many presidents over 47 years? Where are all the female Democratic senators saying, wow, they brutally rape their own women, they're killing people in front of us now? Why can't we get more Democrats to be part of this?
3 words, Trump derangement syndrome. And it is metastasized in the Democrat Party. It's been completely radicalized. Their only North Star for the entire party, or lack of agenda, is they simply oppose everything that President Trump supports. If President Trump wants to support the police, they want to defund the police. If President Trump wants to move forward with deportations with ICE, they want to defund ICE. They really have nothing left, Kellyanne. It's not a good recipe electorally. Their policies are incredibly unpopular. They're intellectually bankrupt party. All they have is this rage they have against President Trump. It didn't work out for him before, and I don't think it'll work out again.
It did work out for them last night, Senator Schmidt, where President Trump ran the tables with his endorsements. Still the gold standard, probably the most biggest chunk of political currency in American history, is to have President Trump's endorsement. It even worked when he was out of office. People were begging for his endorsement. I know it made a difference for you in your contested primary. How do you see the midterms shaping up now? I think if anybody can defy political gravity and the historical wins, it is the president and his team.
Yeah, I think once we get to November.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Guys, Sean Hannity looks a little different tonight. I don't know, something's off. Sean Hannity looks a little bit different tonight. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know. He looks a little different. Anyways, all right. I'm sure they'll upload the full clip of this, but you know what? I find it very looks the same to you. So funny. Jeff Lee says, another average day for a Democrat. Bless Suji. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna need all the blessings I can get right now, because again, it's not enough that the Islamic regime, a brutal totalitarian dictatorship, is literally murdering us every single day. That's not enough. It's not enough that FIFA is taking the side of Islamic terrorists. That's not enough. But on top of that, the Democrats are literally being like Islamic regime apologists. And, you know, like I said, they're so blinded by their Trump derangement syndrome that they're literally willing to carry water for the Islamic regime if it means that they can get like some random soundbite in order to go after Trump, right? Like these people, like the Democrats at this point, they're literally traitors. They're traitors to America. They're all engaging in treason. Like this is wild. Like guys, could you imagine like if, you know, during World War II, if I don't know, the Democrats were attacking President Trump because President Trump was going after Hitler, right? That's literally what's happening right now. President Trump is going after the modern day version of Hitler, and the Democrats are defending Hitler and saying, "Oh, we should negotiate with Hitler. We should allow Hitler to remain around because like Hitler is not that bad," and blah blah blah. That's literally what's happening. That's literally what's happening, right? So when the Democrats are saying that the Islamic regime is not a threat, literally just replace Iran and Islamic regime with Hitler, and that's what you're seeing here. That's what you're seeing, right? This would be like if to contextualize it, imagine if this was World War II, and instead of talking about Iran, the Democrats were defending Nazi Germany and Hitler. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening. So there you go. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. All right, let's continue.
So please, let's not get over into the detail about, oh, we destroyed this many missiles, this many launchers. What is the strategic plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and get us any closer to stopping Iran's nuclear program?
Why would he tell you, you idiot? If he tells you the strategic military plan, then the Islamic regime will know what the plan is, and then the entire OPSEC is gone. Like who do you think you are? What, you think just because you're a politician that you get access to like top secret military information? Like that's not how this works. That's not how this works. And the military should not give away their strategy, especially out in public. Like what sort of idiotic question is that? Like that's so stupid. Yeah. Let's have Admiral Brad Cooper just openly give away the plans so that the Islamic regime can know what exactly the American military plans on doing, right? Like how stupid are these people?
For all the criticisms of the previous presidents, which of course the current president was one of those previous presidents, all of those previous presidents managed to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon without.
No, they didn't, Witty. No one stopped the Islamic regime from getting a nuclear weapon. In fact, the JCPOA is what enabled the Islamic regime to enrich uranium and become very, very close to acquiring a nuclear weapon, you idiot. President Trump stopped it. President Trump is the reason why the Islamic regime was not able to acquire a nuclear weapon, because the JCPOA is something that was promoted and proposed by the Islamic regime, and it was promoted by their Islamic regime lobby groups in the United States. You idiot. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like this okay, you know what? I say this, I was a politician for 7 years. It's one thing to, be partisan and, go on party lines and things like that. But it's another thing entirely to engage in historical revisionism and just flat out lies in order to make the current sitting president look bad because he's not your party. Like, that's shameful. That's shameful.
Dropping the Middle East and much of the world into chaos. That is really the difference right now.
Shame on you, and khak bar sar kachadet.
Now, and I know most of the uniform folks, when we ask these questions, say, well, we're just going to tell you what's going on.
Whoa, did he just disrespect the military by calling them uniform folks? Did he just disrespect did he literally just disrespect people who put their lives on the line to keep America safe by calling them uniform folks? Wow. 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 Oh my gosh. Like that is just that. Okay. That is flat out disgusting. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, when I think the Democrats can't get to a new low, they get even lower. And now they're literally disrespecting the men and women in uniform who put their lives on the line to keep America safe and free by calling them the uniform folks. Wow. What a disgust. You know what? He's a disgusting person. Like he's just disgusting.
Much of the world into chaos. That is really the difference right now. And I know most of the uniform folks, when we ask these questions, say, well, we're just going to tell you what's going on. We don't do the strategy. I find that an incredibly unacceptable answer, and not an answer that I had ever gotten before from uniformed personnel under any other president. The whole "we just work here" thing doesn't really work. You guys should have strategic answers, and you should be willing to share them with the American people and with this committee. Where we're at.
Why should they share the strategic answers, you idiot? If they do that, the Islamic regime will know what the strategy is. Like, who do you think you are?
At right now is the president every few days threatens to kill as many Iranians as humanly possible. He does it.
The President Trump has literally never threatened to kill Iranians. He talks about booming the Islamic regime, which, by the way, the vast majority of Iranians, 85 million Iranians, support that. We want that. So you know what? Do not speak for Iranians. You do not speak for me. You do not speak for my family. You do not speak for the Iranian people. And shame on you for politicizing the plight of Iranians and pretending that you care about Iranians just to push your own garbage Democrat propaganda. Like, shame on you. You do not get to politicize the blood of Iranian people for your own agenda. You do not speak for us. And President Trump has never, ever threatened the Iranian people. He's only threatened the Islamic regime. And by the way, I fully support that. The vast majority of Iranians, we support that. We want President Trump to kill, to boom. We want President Trump to boom the Islamic regime. Boom them, eradicate them, get rid of them. And where was this guy when the January massacre happened? Where were you when the Islamic regime slaughtered over 40,000 innocent Iranians in 2 days alone? Where were you? Right? Like, you do not get to politicize the blood of the Iranian people for your garbage jihadi agenda. Shame on you. President Trump has never, ever threatened the Iranian people. In fact, if you recall, right from the get-go, this is President Trump's historic speech. This is his speech. In case anyone needs a reminder, this is his speech.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts. And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It was brutal, something like the world has never seen before. Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June,
And President Trump has been unwavering on that. Like, President Trump has never wavered on that line. They can never have a nuclear weapon. He's never faltered. That's always been the red line.
we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan.
Yeah.
After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil.
Yep.
But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
Good.
Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons as a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Yeah, you'd think that.
I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication. My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest in the world, and they will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand.
Here we go. This is the part where President Trump sends a message to the Iranian people. So shame on that Democrat for claiming or pretending like he cares about Iranian lives. He does not care about Iranian lives because President Trump made it very clear exactly what's going to happen. And sure, the path has not been straight because there are so many obstacles in President Trump's way, and there are so many institutions and governments and groups and organizations that want to see the Islamic regime survive because they benefit. They benefit from the money they get from the Islamic regime. So they would rather see our people remain oppressed if it means that they can financially benefit from it, right? Because they don't care. They don't care about the Iranian people. The only people who actually care about Iranians is the Israeli government and President Trump's administration. And this message from President Trump right here, he has never wavered from this. And I believe that we are getting very close to this moment. So listen to this part because he actually has a message for the Iranian people.
Down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. I don't know how much clearer that needs to be, right? And President Trump, a few days ago, on his trip back from China, he said, we're not done. He said the job is not done. He said we're only about 70 to 75% of the way there. Okay? So even President Trump has said that it's not over. Right? So shame on that Democrat for saying, oh, all these attacks happened, but regime change didn't happen. Yeah, because it's not the time yet. It's not time yet for regime change because Iranians, we have been rising up for the last 47 years. And every single time we rise up, the Islamic regime murders us. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So Iranians right now are waiting. They're waiting for the right time to rise up and overthrow the Islamic regime. That's what President Trump is saying. He's saying, when we're done, is America done yet? I don't hear no, what's that saying? Like, I don't hear no bell. There's no bell, right? The United States is not done yet. We're getting to the final stages. We're getting to the end game, I believe, but the United States is not done. So obviously the Iranian people haven't risen up yet because the United States is not done.
We are finished. Take over. Freedom is at hand. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass. May God bless the brave men and women of America's armed forces. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless you all. Thank you.
A historic speech from President Trump. So going back to this Democrat loser, like shame on this Democrat loser for claiming that President Trump is, saying that, oh, every few days he threatens to kill Iranians. No, he's threatening to exterminate the Islamic regime. And shame on you for not knowing the difference between the Iranian people and the Islamic regime that's occupying people. Because we actually support President Trump booming the Islamic regime. We want him to continue. So, that's how out of touch these people are. Like, they're not even on the same planet. These people are in like a whole other different universe. And that universe is called hell. These people are in hell, and that's where they belong because they're literally soulless demons.
Should have strategic answers, and you should be willing to share them with the American people.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, we're only 9 minutes into this like 3-hour congressional hearing, so I have a feeling we probably won't watch the entire thing tonight because I have a lot of commentary to add. But yeah, let's see how far we can get.
And with this committee, where we're at right now is the president every few days threatens to kill as many Iranians as humanly possible.
No, he threatens to kill the Islamic regime, you idiot.
He does it in a variety of different language, but basically, no quarter. We will erase their civilization.
Yeah, we want the United States to erase the Islamic regime civilization. We want that. We want them gone. We want them eradicated because this is a civilization that is openly promoting child marriage. Yes, we want them eradicated. Yes, we do, and we support President Trump. What are you going to do about that?
Kill every single person in Iran.
Yeah, no, what? See, like, this is the idiotic rhetoric. Oh, we're going to kill every single person in Iran, right? Why did President Trump ever say that? Like, what an idiot. You're so stupid. Shame. You know what? Shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know how you can look at yourself in the mirror every day and think that you are a good person. You are an evil person. You're standing on the wrong side of history, and shame on you. Shame on you.
And the chairman's absolutely right. The Iranian regime is awful, evil, terrible. They've killed.
It's not the Iranian regime, it's the Islamic regime. And yes, they are off. Wow, do you see how he's like saying, oh yeah, the Iranian regime is awful, evil, whatever. But he's saying it in like a sarcastic way. Like he's saying it in a sarcastic way. Like he's literally just whitewashing the horrific crimes of the Islamic regime.
Single person in Iran. And the chairman's absolutely right. The Iranian regime is awful, evil, terrible. They've killed tens of thousands of Iranian civilians and done terrible things throughout the region. What, are we in a competition with them now to talk about how many Iranian civilians we can kill?
What?
So just saying that pushes a good chunk of the world further away from us. They're like, I don't know that we want to deal with those people. But of course, he says it.
You are a garbage human being. You are a garbage human being. Shame on you for comparing the humanitarian operation by the United States and Israel to the brutal massacre conducted by the Islamic regime. Shame on you. Shame on you. This, guys, by the way, this idiot would not last 24 hours in the Islamic regime. He would not last 24 hours. like the same people that he's like whitewashing, he would not last 24 hours in that society.
And then the next day or 2 days later, doesn't do anything, much less that, and then claims that Iran is now willing to negotiate on all these issues. In fact, the absolute nadir of this process was, I think it was 4 weeks ago, when I woke up Friday morning.
Okay, let me go to a few super chats because I see a few comments here. Kuda, this dude's gaslighting is stupid and moronic. I agree. It's ridiculous. I mean, unfortunately, we Iranians were used to being gaslit by the Islamic regime our entire lives, so we can spot gaslighting like 10 miles away, and this is all gaslighting. Like, shame on him. Then Kuda says they walked into the first meeting and said, we have enough to make 10 or 11 nukes, and we won't give you what you can't even take by force. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like Witkoff, Steve Witkoff, who was like literally anti-war, and Steve Witkoff was like wanted to make like some sort of diplomatic deal. Even Steve Witkoff was like, we cannot negotiate with them because that's what they said to Steve Witkoff. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the Islamic regime even admitted that they have enough uranium to create like 10 or 11 nuclear bombs. Kuda, Democrat. Yeah, that's the term that President Trump has coined. Saber, so I responded to you. Yeah, no, I saw that. I saw your petition. I'll take a look at it after my live stream. And yeah, happy to support and raise awareness any way I can. Thank you so much. And you're never spamming. So thank you for the message. Payanda Iran, Javid Shah. Russ Mega says he belongs in a Twilight Zone episode. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. All right, let's continue. My gosh, we're only like 10 minutes in.
And the president said, Iran has completely capitulated. You remember that? The war was over. You know, Iran had agreed to get rid of their nukes, get rid of their terrorism support, get rid of their ballistic missiles, open up. The Strait was open. And there was reporting all day long like this was real. The president literally made it up. There was no progress whatsoever.
No, he didn't make it up. What happened is that the president was speaking with one faction of the Islamic regime, and then the other faction said, no, we're not going to do that, because after the extermination of Ali Khamenei, the Islamic regime fractured, and now there's different factions competing and vying for power. So shame on you for being such an idiot that you cannot even comprehend how authoritarian dictatorships and regimes work. And shame on you for thinking that it's more likely that the president of the United States would lie over a brutal totalitarian Islamic dictatorship that has literally been lying and gaslighting for the last 47 years, right? Because if I had to pick between which side is lying, I would never in a million years pick the United States president. I would pick the Islamic regime because they're literally gaslighters and they lie. If their lips are moving, guys, they're lying.
For now, the credibility of our entire country, because sadly, the credibility of our country hinges on the.
Are we even getting to a question? Because I feel like I've just been listening to this idiot man just ramble and rant jihadi propaganda for like the last hour. Like, is he even getting to a question, or is he just like, you know, pontificating so he can have some sort of like sound bite or sound clip for his like social media channels to help him get reelected, right? Like, this to me, he doesn't actually care about asking a question. He's just pontificating. He's just like spouting political crap, because I know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to take this clip, he's going to post it on his social media, and he's going to be like, re-elect Mr. Bald Democrat idiot man who supports Islamic terrorists because I hate Trump, right? Like, this is literally, he's creating this for his re-election campaign. Guys, and I say this as a former politician, I can smell political crap when I see it. This guy, he does not actually care about the answers. He does not actually care about learning the truth. He's literally just pontificating and he's just spouting propaganda because he's going to take clips of it and be like, look at me, look how I owned Admiral Brad Cooper look at me, vote for me so I can be your voice to support the Islamic regime and go after President Trump. Vote for me. This message approved by the Democrats, right? Like that's literally what this is. It's literally like, because that's what politicians do. They and I don't even know who this guy is. Like, obviously, this guy's like literally a nobody, right? Like, this guy is literally a political nobody. So, this right here, guys, I'm telling you, let me tell you something. This right here, right now, on my, tiny little live stream with only like 3,000 people watching, this is probably the most attention he's ever going to get in his pathetic political career. Right? So his entire pathetic garbage political career right now, this moment, this is as much attention as he will ever get in his garbage career. And it's only because I'm calling out his jihadi propaganda, right? Because he's obviously a nobody. No one cares who he is. So this guy's like desperate to like, oh, look at me in my suit and my little like pin, and oh, I'm going after President Trump, right? Like that, this is literally his like moment in the spotlight, and I see this constantly, especially with older politicians who are just because here's the thing: if you're like an old politician, but you're still like a no-name nobody, that basically means you failed in your political career. So there you go. That's basically what this is. So this guy's literally a failure. He knows he's a failure. So he's just trying to like drum up some sort of like whatever garbage propaganda so he can just like share it with his constituents and be like, look, I'm useful. I'm relevant. I ask important questions, right? Blah, blah, blah. That's literally what it is. Guys, I had to deal with these sorts of politicians all the time. And let me tell you, these people are the worst. Like, they're literally the biggest idiots. They walk around and they think that they're so intelligent, and they're literally the stupidest people on earth. Like, guys, I'm telling you, like 70% of politicians are literally idiots who fail upwards. Literally, they fail upwards. They have no idea what's going on. They don't care about anything. All they care about is getting reelected. And let me tell you something. If I cared about getting reelected, I would not be speaking out about Iran when I was a politician. I not only risked my political career, I lost my political career. I was kicked out of my party because I was raising awareness about Iran and the Iranian fight against the Islamic regime. But let me tell you something. If I had to do it all over again, I would. If I had to do it all over again 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, I would not change anything, because I, not for a single second, regret the fact that I was kicked out of my party because I was raising awareness about Iran, because that is the right thing to do. Because if I had instead focused on just, I'll just remain silent and, I'll just focus on getting reelected, something, I would never, ever be able to live with myself. So yeah, maybe that. Honestly, that's probably why the reason that I was, not a good politician anyway, because, politicians are supposed to be vanilla, and politicians are just supposed to be like neutral and whatever. So yeah, I guess politics just wasn't for me, because I have a conscience and I have a soul, and I always cared about doing the right thing, and I just could never, ever be silent in the face of injustice. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess politics wasn't for me, but that's fine. But I did learn a lot. Again, I was in politics for 10 years, so I've become like the political whisperer. That's why I'm really good at, translating what President Trump says from, politics to English. But all right. Let's go to, okay, so Tom for Life. Can we just skip this guy and go to someone else? We can't, because I'm sorry, I really want to watch this. I know I'm ranting, but I do want to watch this because it's just a political nerd in me. But what I do is, I will promise you, as soon as I'm done with the rest of the super chats, we'll play the rest of this and I will not interrupt anymore. No matter how much like he says something ridiculous, I won't interrupt it. We'll just let it go through. And that way we can get over it much more quickly. Stephen Risley says, most politicians just use up good oxygen and do nothing. Yeah, I agree. 100%. I agree. I've experienced it myself. Kuda, you fight the good fight 100%. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rickon, this loser is the other Vermont senator with Bernie Sanders. It tells you, oh, of course, obviously. So it tells you everything about him. So there you go. So I was right. So this loser dude, because he's literally competing against Bernie Sanders, and everyone knows who Bernie Sanders is. Bernie Sanders is garbage as well. But that's why this guy is like now trying to overcompensate, because he probably feels like, oh, Bernie Sanders takes all the limelight and like no one even knows who he is, right? So that's what it is right here. Stephen Risley says, Goldie had the good sense to get away and do this instead. Our good fortune. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. Very thoughtful of you. And Melissa Joy Cat Lady, $5 super sticker. Thank you. All right. Okay. So Tom for life. I promise you. So I will play the rest of this guy, and I promise you, no matter how bad it gets, I will not interrupt. And that's for you so that we can get through this more quickly, because I really do want to know what he says. That's just the political nerd in me. I apologize.
The credibility of our president is dead. Who's going to believe anything we say? There is no evidence today that Iran is negotiating any of these things. Their position has not budged. Pay us to open up the strait. That's basically their position, which is an incredibly weaker position for us. So what we need to know today is what's the strategic plan to get us out of this hole we're in. And thumping our chest about how many successful missions we ran doesn't change the fact that our economy is in the toilet. Inflation is higher than it's been in 3 or 4 years. Gas prices are up $1.50, and there's no end in sight.
They were higher during Biden.
For the rest of the world.
I never said I would
dismissively pointed out,
I just said
correctly
pointed
out,
so
the rest of the world is more dependent upon the Strait of Hormuz being open than we are, which makes them just so grateful to us for having effectively shut it down. So let's hear a plan that isn't the president getting up in the morning and imagining that somehow wish fulfillment works in foreign policy, imagining that Iran has completely capitulated to all of our demands. What is an actual plan to get us out of this hole?
Why would he tell you? Why would
the United
he tell
States
you
has
the
done
plan,
such an
you idiot?
outstanding job of digging.
Why would he tell you the plan?
That's what we need to hear today.
He's not going to tell you the plan.
Thank the ranking member. Now I'd like to introduce our witnesses. First, we have the Honorable Dan Zimmerman, Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs, Admiral Brad Cooper, Commander of CENTCOM, and General Dagvin Anderson, Commander of AFRICOM. Welcome to our witnesses. Mr. Zimmerman, we'll start with you. You're recognized.
Chairman Rogers and Ranking Member Smith and distinguished members of this committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify on the posture of our forces and strategic priorities within the U.S. Central Command and U.S. Africa Command areas of responsibility. It is my honor to appear alongside CENTCOM Commander Admiral Cooper and AFRICOM Commander General Anderson. My testimony today will focus on the department's approach to posture and strategy in these two theaters and how that is guided by our National Defense Strategy, or NDS. The NDS is based on the principles of peace through strength and America First foreign policy, flowing from the conviction that a government's first duty is always to its own citizens. Our strategy has 4 succinct lines of effort. First, we will defend the homeland. Second, we will deter China in the Indo-Pacific. Third, we will encourage and expect our allies and partners to step up and take more responsibility.
Ooh, deterring China. Guys, so that fits in perfectly with President Trump's trip to China. Remember? I made a whole video. I was like, President Trump's trip to China was not kissing the ring. It was not appeasement. If anything, it was the opposite. President Trump went to China to put China in their place and say, you will not dictate what happens, and you will not, try to help the Islamic regime and help them survive. And now this guy is saying that one of the, strategies or whatever goals is to make sure that America has supremacy over China in the Indo-Pacific area.
responsibility, especially in those areas where they have direct national security interests. And finally, to achieve all of this, we must supercharge the U.S. defense industrial base. Our strategy is America first. The United States will prioritize theaters and challenges with the greatest consequence for American interests and where only American power can play a decisive role. Our adversaries must understand without doubt that the United States possesses both the capability and the political will to use decisive force to protect its vital interests and to safeguard the security and prosperity of the American people. As the NDS lays out, we aim to work with and support our allies and partners around the world to deter threats, set conditions for peace, and to pursue mutual security interests. Regarding the Middle East, President Trump has made clear that the United States seeks a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East, one defined by commerce and not chaos. This needs to be a Middle East where our allies and partners invest in and take the lead in responsibility for their own security. But to be clear, the United States will always retain the ability to act decisively to defend ourselves and our allies where and when we need. Operation Epic Fury is an example of this strategy in action. The president initiated Operation Epic Fury in direct response to the Iranian regime that waged a one-sided war against America for 47 years that threatened allies and partners and caused thousands of American casualties. And I would like to mention here and acknowledge the 14 fallen service members. We honor them and their families. Across every domain, land, sea, air, and cyber, the U.S. Joint Force delivered synchronized and layered effects to disrupt, degrade, and destroy Iran's ability to conduct and sustain combat operations. The Secretary has noted that although Operation Epic Fury was historic for its complexity, lethality, and precision, it also had a laser-focused mission, scoped to our interests and the defense of our people and our allies. President Trump also seeks to redefine the United States' relationship with Africa, transitioning from an aid-focused relationship to a trade and investment-focused relationship, favoring partnerships with capable, reliable states intent on achieving common interests. Our department will take a resource-sustainable approach to counterterrorism and stand ready to take direct action against Islamic terrorists in Africa who are both capable of.
Guys, he said Islamic terrorists in Africa. Remember what I said earlier? Remember how I said the instability in Africa is being caused by the Islamic regime in Qatar and the Muslim Brotherhood because they're expanding their jihad? And now this gentleman literally just said the same thing. He just said Islamic terrorists in Africa. There you go. See, guys, you stick with me. You listen to my commentary. I put you on the right path. I will give you the DL before you even hear the DL. So there you go. Right? Like I literally just went on a whole rant about Islamic terrorists in Africa and how they're being funded by the Islamic regime in Qatar. And now he just said the same thing. Gosh. So you know what, guys? Sometimes I just get tired of being right all the time. I just get tired. I'm joking. I never get tired of being right.
The department will take a resource-sustainable approach to counterterrorism and stand ready to take direct action against Islamic terrorists in Africa who are both capable of and intent on striking the U.S. homeland, while empowering African and other partners to lead efforts to degrade and destroy terrorist organizations throughout the continent. Our operation with Nigeria over the weekend is an example of this strategy in action. Working alongside Nigerian partners, U.S. forces executed a raid in northeast Nigeria, killing the ISIS Global Director of Operations, Bilal al-Muniki, and members of his inner circle. Muniki will no longer be able to plot against America.
Woo! So Nigerian cutlets, look at that. The Nigerians got some cutlets too, which is well-deserved and well-earned.
American citizens and interests. In conclusion, the Department of War will continue without wavering to defend and secure the freedom and prosperity of the United States. Our posture in the U.S. CENTCOM and U.S. AFRICOM AORs is a coherent and integrated execution of our national defense strategy. It is an America First policy that advances peace through strength. Under the direction of President Trump, the department has demonstrated our commitment and capability.
So, guys, actually, so I'm going to do a plug here for one of my earlier, okay, so now we're going back to when my channel was pretty much brand new. And I didn't have a lot of followers back then, but I did actually where is it? I did a number of where's the playlist here? Here we go. I literally did a number of episodes on the Nigerian genocide, and this video, oh wow. Oh, okay, so it did get a lot of views. So, okay, so guys, this video is so old. This is back when I was just starting my channel. So, guys, don't judge me. Don't judge me, okay? Because this is before I had my setup. It's before I had, my fancy background, and I didn't even have a proper webcam, a proper camera. I was just using the camera on my laptop. But guys, everyone starts from somewhere. So this is my live stream from October 2025. Okay. This is before my channel was big, but watch this because, okay, this is wait, where'd it go? Oh yeah. And I didn't even have the proper intro theme or anything. So, the live stream was called Nigerian Genocide: Why Are Muslims Massacring Christians in Nigeria? So I just want to share something because, okay, again, this is so we're going to old school Goldie, but this is important because I even though it wasn't as fancy back then, but I laid out the framework back then on how this is related to the Islamic regime. So let's just watch this.
Me for my daily live stream. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic that's not getting a lot of media attention. And I'm going to explain.
And guys, I'm going to take a quick health break, but I'll be right back. But this is really important because what's happening in Nigeria, it's not getting a lot of attention. So this is going back to October. Literally, my channel had only I don't know, maybe 2,000 followers, maybe 1,000 followers. And as you can see, the backdrop is it's not what it is today. Guys, we started from the bottom, now we hear. You know that Drake song, started from the bottom, now we hear? Yeah. I started from pretty humble beginnings, but I think one of the reasons that my channel grew so quickly is because I've always spoken from the heart, and I've always just, tried to convey the right information and, not clickbait garbage nonsense. But let's just watch this and I'll be right back.
Why? I've been doing a deep dive into this so that you don't have to. In fact, I stayed up incredibly late last night because there is a lot of information, and I think I'm going to have to do maybe 2 or 3 parts here. Sorry, I have a bit of a dry throat as well. I think I'm coming down with something. So we're going to talk about the Nigerian genocide, and there are a few elements here to the Nigerian genocide that really need to be pointed out. First of all, we need to talk about why this is not in the media. We also need to talk about what exactly is happening. We also need to talk about why there are certain Islamists who are pushing really hard to deny the Nigerian genocide and pretend that.
I feel like the video's lagging. Maybe let me just refresh it. Maybe that might fix it.
I have a bit of a dry throat as well. I think I'm coming down with something. So we're going to talk about the Nigerian genocide, and there are a few elements here to the Nigerian genocide that really need to be pointed out. First of
Guys, and yes, I know there's a typo in the title. I misspelled massacring. I get that. I didn't realize until after. So just deal with the typo. I'll be right back.
all, we need to talk about why this is not in the media. We also need to talk about what exactly is happening. We also need to talk about why there are certain Islamists who are pushing really hard to deny the Nigerian genocide and pretend that it's not happening, or they're trying to pretend that there are other reasons behind this. And finally, we are going to talk about how and why the violence in Nigeria, specifically Islamic terrorists murdering Nigerian Christians, the link between that and the Middle East, because there is a very, very direct link. And it's not something that most people would automatically think about, not a link that most people would make, but there is a direct connection between the Muslim expansion in Nigeria and the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. Again, Iran is the country where I am from. And to put, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but also for those of you who might not believe me, those of you who might think that Goldie has no idea what she is talking about, here you go. Here is a photo. This was taken a few years ago. I'm not exactly sure when. I think it was maybe, early 2020s. Here's a photo of a Nigerian child, okay, well, several Nigerian children actually, waving the flag of the Islamic Republic occupying Iran. And of course, they're stepping on Israel because that's what, Islamists and jihadis and terrorists do.
Guys, I'm so sorry. The audio quality is terrible. This is back when I was on like no, the audio is choppy for everyone. It's not you guys. Guys, this is like OG Goldie. This is like OG Goldie before I had my fancy microphone, before I had my fancy webcam. Like, this is just me literally doing live streams from like my laptop. So yeah, this is like OG Goldie. Like, it's just like, for like low quality. So I apologize.
And then you can see behind this child, I'm going to zoom in, behind this child, this other Nigerian child is holding a picture of Khamenei. Khamenei, as you may or may not know, is the current supreme dictator of the...
Well, he's dead now. Khamenei is dead. So guys, this was filmed back in October, but now I can say Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. Right? So, oh my gosh, if only I had known back in October that on February 28th, President Trump would exterminate Khamenei. Oh my gosh. But like, yeah, like when he was like, it's
Islamic Republic that's occupied.
But this is the thing, like, look at this guy. So when you're watching, so going back here, so really quickly, going back to the congressional hearing, right? Admiral Brad Cooper and everyone else testifying before the House committee, right? And then this gentleman is talking about how the Islamic terrorists are expanding. They're expanding in Africa, right? Here's the link. I was speaking about this, well, for years, but I spoke about this back in October as well. And I'm literally pointing out in this, live stream back in October, like 6-7 months ago, that these Nigerian children are being indoctrinated by the Islamic regime. Because why the hell are Nigerian children in Nigeria holding a picture of the supreme dictator of the Islamic regime that's occupying Iran. Like, that's insane. That's insane. But unless you actually show this picture to people, no one will believe you. No one's going to think that. Like, so a lot of the people who are like listening to this gentleman speaking about Islamic expansionism and like Islamic terrorism expansionism in Africa, they're probably like, what is this guy talking about? He's crazy. Like he's Islamophobic, right? So the Democrats are probably like, oh look, he's Islamophobic. Meanwhile, the reality is that yes, the Islamic regime is expanding in Africa, and the Islamic regime is directly responsible for the instability in Africa and in countries like Nigeria, and the proof is right there. Why the hell are Nigerian children holding pictures of Khamenei and the flag of the Islamic regime? Think about it. So, Americans, for example, imagine if like, there's a school in America where the little children are, holding the flag of communist Russia, and they're holding pictures of Putin, and they're stepping on the American flag in America. Is that normal? Is that normal? Like, why would American children, like, why would, theoretically, why would American children be holding the photo of Vladimir Putin and waving the Russian flag in the American education system, right? That's weird. That lets you know something is up. So same thing in Africa. Why the heck are Nigerian children waving the flag of the Islamic regime? By the way, that's the flag of my occupiers, right? Like that's the flag of the Muslim Nazis that have been murdering us for the last 47 years. Why are they waving the flag of the Islamic regime and holding pictures of Khamenei, right? And on top of that, they're stepping on the flag of Israel. So yeah, this Islamic expansionism in Africa, no joke. It's no joke. It's a serious thing. They have been doing this for a very long time. And the Nigerian genocide is being funded by the Islamic regime and the Muslim Brotherhood and Qatar as well. All right, let's continue. I'm sorry. I apologize for the bad audio quality. You're just going to have to deal with it because this is like OG Goldie.
Occupying Iran. The flag you see behind me,
guys, this is before I was like a big YouTube channel. So yeah, started from the bottom. And guys, you know what? This also shows and demonstrates to everyone out there, if you want to start a YouTube channel, you don't actually need fancy equipment to get started. If you have a laptop and, a webcam or whatever, just get started, because that's what I did. That's how I got started. It was literally just my laptop and a webcam. I didn't have a fancy background. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have like a fancy camera or nothing like that. If you're passionate and you have a message and you want to put it out there, just do it. Just do it. And eventually you'll get to where you want to be. But you have to start from somewhere. And if I can do it, so can you. And the key is passion, right? Be passionate, be real, be genuine. There you go. All right, let's continue with this.
That's the real flag of Iran, the lion and sun flag. Flag dictator of the Islamic Republic that's occupying Iran. The flag you see behind me, that's the real flag of Iran, the lion and sun flag. The flag that this Nigerian child is holding, that's the flag of the terrorist Islamic Republic, which is occupying my country, and through their terrorist proxy forces have colonized and occupied other countries as well, including Yemen, Lebanon. They have forces in Iraq. They have forces in Gaza. And their proxy groups extend as far as Nigeria. Because you guys have to remember, there is literally no reason for a child in Nigeria to be waving the flag of the Islamic Republic. Again, the Islamic Republic is the most brutal Islamofascist dictatorship well, it's the most brutal dictatorship in the world, I would say. And of course, they have this Islamofascist jihadi ideology. So to everyone who was doubting as to whether or not there is a link between the Nigerian genocide happening right now, where Nigerian Muslims are murdering Christians, versus Islamic terrorism in the Middle East, there you go. And I will walk you through everything, starting from the beginning, until we get to this point here, because again, it makes absolutely no sense for Nigerian children to be holding pictures of the supreme dictator of the Islamic Republic. By the way, this guy murders Iranians, right? This guy has the blood of millions of Iranians on his hands, right? Why are Nigerian children holding his picture? So there is a direct link between the Middle East and the Nigerian genocide of Christians right now. So there you go. There's a sneak peek of where we are going to end up. But I want to take you back to the beginning. I want to take you back. I want to show you a few other images as well, because some of you might say, well, Goldie, what's your source for this? This is something that you tweeted yourself. So here you go. Here is a media outlet, a news media outlet showing Nigerian Muslims in occupied Iran. So these are like Muslim jihadi fanatics who were brought to occupied Iran by the Islamic Republic to participate in the Al-Quds Day rally. Okay, what is Al-Quds Day? Al-Quds Day is a...
Anyways, I'm gonna go forward a little bit, but so yeah, here's like the footage of like African jihadis imported to the Islamic regime, right? So I know we showed footage earlier today of like what's happening today. This has been going on for a long time.
Republic itself.
Right? So, like here they are.
I mean, the last time I checked, by the way, this is not like cultural dress, right? Like this is.
Anyways, so there you go. So if you guys want to learn more about the Nigerian genocide, this is a good part. Okay, let me just share this part really quickly. This part's important.
For those of you who are not necessarily familiar with Nigeria and where it is, so here is Nigeria. Okay, here's Nigeria in the map of Africa. So you can see this is Nigeria over here. The Middle East is here. Okay, and occupied Iran is right there. So there's a significant distance between the Islamic Republic, which is occupying Iran, and of course Nigeria, which is here. Here's where things get interesting. Okay, so as you can see, this is a map of areas under Muslim rule at one point or another in history. So this is Iran right now, because Iran is currently governed by the Islamic Republic, controlled by the Islamic Republic, it's under occupation by the Islamic Republic. Here is Nigeria. The northern half of Nigeria is under Islamic rule. This right here, right? And then so, at some point, Spain was under Islamic rule as well. And then the Spaniards, fought back and they reclaimed Spain. But this is showing a map of current and former. So Spain is no longer it's not current, but it was at some point. But this is the Islamic colonial expansionism, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that and then keep this map in mind. Okay, so what I'm trying to get at here is this border, this boundary in Nigeria that is dividing, it's a dividing line between Islamic colonialism that relates directly to the current demographic in Nigeria. So again, remember that line, Islamic colonization line. Look at the divide, the religious divide in Nigeria. The northern part is Islam, majority Islam. The southern part is majority Christianity. This aligns directly with that map. Okay, where's that map again? So this here aligns directly with the map of Islamic colonization, right? So what I'm trying to get at is that what you are currently seeing in Nigeria, okay, that is how Islam has expanded for the last 1400 years. Okay, so what's happening in Nigeria is nothing new. This is what happens. This is how Islam has expanded for the last 1400 years. And unfortunately, the Nigerians are, some of the most recent victims of this. And this is why the Christians are being massacred. And there are many Islamist outlets who were speaking about the fake genocide in Gaza, but who are now denying the very real genocide in Nigeria because it doesn't fit their narrative, right? Because they only want people to know about, anti-West imperialism or whatever nonsense, but they never talk about Islamic imperialism. They never talk about Islamic colonization because what's happening in Nigeria does not fit their narrative. So I want to play a video. I want to share it because
Okay, so that's pretty much it. I mean, if you guys want to watch the whole thing, it's actually a very I did a pretty good job. I do my research. I know my stuff, guys. So, even back then when it was just,
now
baby Goldie with her baby channel and just like her laptop webcam, I think I still did a pretty good job. So it's actually really informative, and I would recommend everyone to go and watch this video. It's only 2 hours long. It's my live stream from October 20th, so you can go and look it up. But yeah, it's really interesting. So the link, I mean, yeah, sure, I can share the link. Sure, I'll let me put the link in all my channels. And, you guys can go and watch it afterwards. Yeah, no problem. Happy to share the link with you guys. Listen, guys, I have a lot of really, really good live streams. Like, you need to go watch them. I know, like, they're not like fancy. It's not like super fancy technological wise, but maybe the script isn't super polished, but I give pretty good info. And everything that I say has always come to light. So all that to say, right? So me here back in October, I'm explaining about the instability in Africa, which is due to Islamic terrorism, right? So now this literally links directly back to this gentleman who's talking about the instability in Africa due to Islamic terrorism, right? Remember? Goldie is always right. Boom. All right, let's continue. Oh my gosh, we're only like 16 minutes in. This is so funny.
And prosperity of the United States. Our posture in the U.S. CENTCOM and U.S. AFRICOM AORs is a coherent and integrated execution of our national defense strategy.
Hey, what happened? Wait, what happened? Wait, let me bring up my screen. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what happened there. All right, let me go back a little bit. Okay.
The United States. Our posture in the U.S. CENTCOM and U.S. AFRICOM AORs is a coherent and integrated execution of our national defense strategy. It is an America First policy that advances peace through strength. Under the direction of President Trump, the department has demonstrated our commitment and capability to defend the homeland and secure American priorities abroad while encouraging our allies and partners to increasingly shoulder responsibility on mutual security interests. The department is confident in this strategy, in our exceptional service members, and in our ability to defend the United States. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Admiral Cooper, you're recognized.
Well, good morning, Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Smith, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. And thanks especially to the committee for your steadfast support to the U.S. military and U.S. Central Command. I'm pleased to join today with Commander of U.S. Africa Command, my good friend, General Dag Anderson, and Assistant Secretary Dan Zimmerman. I'm grateful to be accompanied by my wife, Susan, representing the families of the more than 50,000 service members deployed in the Middle East. I'm also pleased to be joined by Fleet Command Master Chief Lateef Compton, the senior enlisted leader of CENTCOM. Recent events in the Central region show how quickly the course of history can change. Decades-old features of the strategic landscape, believed immutable, have been upended, bringing both challenges and opportunities. I strongly believe that every success that we have starts and ends with our people. In just the last 7 months, America's sons and daughters serving in CENTCOM have played key roles in implementing the President's 20-point peace plan for Gaza, degrading the ISIS threat in Syria, preventing an ISIS crisis by conducting a historic transfer of over 5,700 ISIS prisoners from Syria to Iraq, creating the most integrated and effective regional air defense architecture ever seen, which was decades in the making, and most recently addressing the rapidly accelerating Iranian threat. U.S. Central Command was created in direct response to the threats posed by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I'm the 16th CENTCOM commander to deal with the Iranian problem set. For 47 years, the Iranian regime terrorized the region and made hostility to the United States a core tenet of its rule. The regime is an even more deadly threat to its own people, killing tens of thousands of innocent Iranians during protests in January, with public executions ongoing.
Oh my gosh, the fact that Admiral Brad Cooper acknowledged this fact in his opening statement. Guys, this is huge. Oh my gosh.
Hostility to the United States, a core.
Like, you don't understand. You guys, you don't understand. Like, for 47 years, we Iranians, like, we have been fighting tooth and nail to get the world to acknowledge that we're under occupation and that we are under, pressure, and we're being murdered and threatened and, raped and tortured. And you know what's messed up? Those of us who live outside of occupied Iran, we're not free. So just because we live outside of Iran, and just because we don't live daily under the daily brutality of the Islamic regime, that doesn't actually mean we're free, because they monitor us, they watch us, they threaten our family members. Guys, don't forget, I still have a bounty on my head. I still have a $250,000 bounty on my head just because I speak out against the Islamic regime. And the FBI used the threatening email that I received from the Islamic regime, the bounty that they put on my head. The FBI actually used that email as part of their affidavit in order to shut down for internet websites that are connected to the Islamic regime. So, anyone who thinks that those of us who live outside of occupied Iran are free, we're not. We're not free, because they monitor us, they follow us, they threaten us, they murder us. They've murdered, guys, they murdered Bapishman. You guys all know Bapishman, Feridun Farrokhzad. They murdered him. They murdered him in Europe. He was in Europe. He was an artist. He was a musician. He was making songs. He was singing about Iran. He was singing about how Iran should be free. And the Islamic regime, the Muslim Nazis, murdered him, assassinated him, because they were threatened by his voice. So, yeah, so guys, like, when we hear someone like Admiral Brad Cooper just come out and acknowledge the horrific reality of Iranians, he acknowledges the fact that the Islamic regime is murdering us. Like, this is huge, because We've never had this. Guys, we've never had this. Whenever we try to speak out about the Islamic regime, we're accused of Islamophobia. We're accused of, like we're villainized. We're villainized. So, God bless Admiral Brad Cooper. Thank you. Thank you so much for acknowledging the horrific reality of Iranians, because we don't get that. Guys, FIFA, garbage FIFA is silencing our voices. Even FIFA is standing on the side of Islamic terrorism, right? Like, that's how insane it is. So you guys have no idea how appreciative we Iranians actually are. Like, because just someone acknowledging the pain and suffering that we've gone through, that's huge, because we've had to fight tooth and nail just to like convince people that we're occupied. So this is huge. Oh man, Admiral Brad Cooper, he's a real one. Heart of gold right there.
Tenet of its rule. The regime is an even more deadly threat to its own people, killing tens of thousands of innocent Iranians during protests in January, with public executions ongoing.
Yeah, it's happening every day.
Iran has long had three pillars of intimidation and coercion: their nuclear program, their ballistic missiles and drones, and their proxies, especially Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis.
Yeah.
Let's look at each of these. First, all signs pointed to Iran's intent to create a nuclear weapon capability. And then to protect their nuclear program, Iran built thousands of ballistic missiles and drones, and they did it for two reasons: to create a shield to make their nuclear site untouchable, and to create an offensive capability so large that regional partners couldn't possibly defend against it. Along the way, their proxies did Iran's dirty work across the region. Prior to the start of Epic Fury, Iranian-supported terror groups attacked U.S. troops and diplomats more than 350 times in the previous 2.5 years, killing 4 U.S. service members and wounding nearly 200 others.
That's crazy. So to all those people who are like, Iran, well, I mean, the Islamic regime, but they say Iran, but they're like, the Islamic regime doesn't pose a threat to America. Admiral Brad Cooper just literally confirmed. He just confirmed in the last 30 months, the Islamic regime and their proxies have been attacking Americans an average of once every 3 days, and they murdered 4. The Islamic regime, the Muslim Nazis, murdered 4 Americans and injured 200 others. What's going on? What's going on? And yet the Democrats are like, oh, the Islamic regime doesn't pose a threat to us. Wow. Traitors. Like, you guys need to like kick, like, I don't know if they're citizens or not, but to like take their citizenship away, deport them back to some like third world garbage country, right? Because these people it's literally like the threat within. It's like an internal domestic terrorism threat.
To directly counter this accelerating Iranian strategy that we all saw, the U.S. military was directed by the president to execute 2 significant operations, and here are the results. First, Operation Midnight Hammer significantly degraded Iran's nuclear program. And second, Operation Epic Fury significantly degraded Iran's ballistic missiles and drones, while destroying 90% of their defense industrial base, ensuring that Iran cannot reconstitute for years. And then finally, Iran spent decades and billions of dollars arming proxies. Today, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis are cut off from Iran's weapons supply and support. Said a different way, American military action derailed Iran's strategy that was 47 years in the making. So where are we now? The ceasefire continues, and consistent with the president's direction, we've established a highly effective maritime blockade of Iran. To date, we've turned away 88 ships. There has been 0 trade into Iranian ports and 0 trade out of Iranian ports, squeezing Iran economically and creating powerful leverage for the ongoing negotiations. Of course, these results were not without cost. We honor the memories of the 14 service members who made ultimate sacrifice during Operation Epic Fury, and 2 soldiers and a civilian killed in Palmyra, Syria. They represent the very best among all of us. But before I close, I want to make clear, we are committed to the law of armed conflict. The United States does not target civilians. We take all civilian casualty reports seriously. This is now part of our culture, and I invite each and every one of you, as well as all of your staffs, to visit Tampa and see our targeting process for yourselves. As I sit here, we're clear-eyed. The situation in front of us is complex. High-stakes negotiations continue. Our job is to be ready, and we are. I testify today on behalf of the brave servicemen and women deployed to the central region. It's a great life honor and privilege to serve as their commander, and thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Admiral. General, you're recognized.
Wow, that was amazing. Oh my gosh. Admiral Brad Cooper, he's an OG. Okay, let's go to some of the super chats and then I'll continue. Saber coaching, you're Basharaf. Oh, thank you. Okay, for those who don't know, Basharaf means honorable in Persian. Oh, thank you. That's really kind of you to say. The Truth Rebellion _ King Joshua. Goldie, you are too great for them, Lioness. Aw, thank you. Joshua, Truth Rebellion's referring to the politicians and the party that kicked me out for speaking out about Iran. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. And you'll be back once treason is purged from Canada. Yeah, I honestly, like, unless Canada takes like a sharp turn, I'm starting to lose hope in Canada. Like, Canada's become a very scary place. I'm not gonna lie. Canada is reminding me more and more of like Iran in the 1960s, right? Iran in the 1960s. And then the 1960s weren't so bad, but it was kind of weird and uncomfortable. And then 2 decades later, it became an Islamic hellhole. So I don't know. Canada's going down a very dark path, and it doesn't look like a friendly place anymore. Christian Evan Christensen. Hi from Norway. You good? Yes, I'm great. Thank you for asking. Has exchanged the contacts of local Iranian group with a national Iranian group to get local protests published in Persian newspapers in Norway. Also, PM down to 34% in polls. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for connecting the local Iranians with the bigger group. And I have a feeling that the support for the prime minister is down because of, it could have something to do with the recent trip of the foreign affairs minister to, the Islamic regime. So not good. Like, Norwegians, get your act together and don't vote for lefties. Vote for the right. Vote for the patriots. Protect your country. Like, guys, Norwegians, channel your inner Viking and, do the Viking Valhalla whatever. And, Norway belongs to Norwegians, right? Norway should belong to Norwegians. And by the way, Norway is a very beautiful country. I actually had the opportunity to visit Norway with my family a couple years ago, and it was amazing. And let me tell you, Norwegian people are some of the most hospitable, welcoming, nicest people. Like, everywhere we went, like, the local Norwegian people were they were so welcoming, so friendly. Like, oh my gosh, like, my sister and I, we went to, like, several bars, and we would just walk in and the locals would be like, "You're not from around here, are you?" And obviously, like, we don't look white, right? Like, obviously we don't look right. My sister does, but I don't. But they would be like, "You're not from around here, are you?" And we would be like, "No." "All right, let's get you a drink." And, like, everywhere we went, we literally just made friends. Like, so friendly, so nice. And oh my gosh, let me see if I can find, like, my video about Norway. Let me see if because we visited the Norwegian fjords. Guys, Norway is a beautiful country. So I know it's somewhere there. Let's see. Where is it? I think I posted it on my Instagram. but it was like a few years ago. So let me find it. I know I have it somewhere. I might have posted it on X. Let me check. Let me check my account. I even played like some Viking metal while I was doing that. So I have the video. It's a good one. Give me one moment. Guys, this is going to make you want to go and visit Norway. And I'm telling you guys, like, Iranian like nature is beautiful and I love it. But let me tell you, the Iranian mountain ranges, absolutely beautiful. But nothing can ever beat the Norwegian fjords. You know what I mean? Like the Norwegian fjords are something else, and it's just such an awe-inspiring experience. And plus, everyone in Norway is really tall. Like everyone's like Vikings, right? Like Norway is literally the land of Vikings, and I'm short. I'm only 5'2", right? So I'm like walking around Norway, and like I'm just like, hello, right? Because everyone's really tall. So, but did you know that there's actually a cool ancient relationship between ancient Iranians and the Vikings? Did you guys know that? Does anyone know that story about? Okay, I can't find this. I can't even find this. Let me see if I can find it. What is this? I can't find it. Like, this is so annoying now. Wait. Guys, I need to find this out. This is like the adventure from last night where I was like, I need to find the Taco Bell photo of the Supreme Dictator. I know I have it somewhere. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I don't have the full video. Wait, when was this from? Okay, let me do a search here. I think I might have found the solution. Guys, it's worth it. I promise you. I promise you. It's worth it. Is it this one? No. And we even visited like a Viking village. It was super, super cool. All right. I can't find it. But anyways, let me just show you a photo instead. I'll just do this instead. This is like the next best thing here. Sorry guys. You know what? I will find the video and I'll share it with you guys next time. But everyone needs to visit Norway. And I'll explain why. Because the Norwegian fjords are absolutely phenomenal. And it's like just so beautiful. So beautiful. I have to get through all of like my politician photos here. August. All right, here we go. Yes, here we go. Okay. Okay. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So we took Beautiful. That's beautiful. I want to see if I can find the actual video though. Give me a moment. Let me just stop sharing my screen. I'm going to see if I can find the video because I made a video. And then we visited like this Viking village and it was super cool. The Viking village was like the coolest thing ever. Where is it? Yeah, Norway's awesome, guys. Everyone needs to go to Norway at least once in their lifetime. And check out the Norwegian fjords. It's utterly breathtaking. Utterly breathtaking. Where's my video? Oh wait, this is the Viking village. Oh, the Viking village was fun too, where we basically saw a whole bunch of Vikings. It was like an old school Viking village thing. Wait. Here we go. Yeah. Is this it? Oh my gosh, I did axe throwing with the Vikings. Look at me, guys. So this was like the old school Viking village. Anyways, go to Norway. Go to Norway. That's me. Oh wait, it's not on the screen. That's awkward. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, do you just see? So when I say that like everyone in Norway is tall and I'm short, I'm not exaggerating. That's me. That's like the average size of like that's the average height of a Norwegian. So yeah, like literally everyone in Norway. Like you want to see Vikings, just go to Norway. Everyone's a Viking. But they're super nice. Everyone is super nice and super friendly. So there you go. Here's me trying to throw an axe at like a Norwegian village. This was like before we went on the fjord cruise or something. And I just embarrassed myself. Yeah.
Very good.
And they're like very good. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yay!
There you go. So you know what? Maybe I do have some Viking blood in me after all. Maybe I do have some Viking blood in me after all, because I was able to, get the axe thing on the second time. So there you go. For Valhalla or something. But where's the video? I made a very cool video of like the Norwegian fjords and is it this one? Wait, let me see. No, it's not that one. Let me find it because it was super cool. And I even posted it on my Instagram too. Oh, and then me and my sister were like, we grabbed some weapons and like we were like sword fighting at the Viking village. We did like bow and arrow. Anyways, where's the video? I can't find it now. But anyways, Norwegian fjords. You definitely want to check it out because Norway is phenomenal. And okay, so here's like just the final image I want to share from Norway because like the beauty and the nature, I don't even. Oh, we were so the Viking village was called Gundvangen. Does that ring a bell? Gundvangen? We were in Gundvangen. This is where we were. We were in Gundvangen, whatever that means. But yeah, so the Norwegian fjords, just beautiful mountains, water, and everything. So yeah, all that to say, we love Norway. We love the Norwegian people. You guys are amazing, phenomenal. Vikings are the coolest. But the current Norwegian government, not so much. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Like, just reclaim your Viking identity, like for Valhalla, right? Like, just go pure Viking and just Viking your country, right? Norway should be for Norwegians, the same way that England should be for English, the same way that Iran should be for Iranians. How tall am I? I'm 5'2". You should ask how short I am, because that's probably a more accurate description. All right, let's continue with the next opening speech. And then after that, we're going to call it a night, and we'll have to go to part 2 of this this commentary, because I do add a lot of commentary because I'm a big political nerd. All right, we're going to go to the rest of the super chats as well. So Sharon Hatt says he was RI Senator Jack Reed, West Point graduate. Oh, okay, thank you. Adam, God has his plans. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, everything happens for a reason. And when I was kicked out of my party, I actually wasn't upset. If anything, I was proud. I was like, oh, wow, look, like my advocacy and speaking out for the oppressed Iranian people has scared the Muslim Nazis so much that they literally viewed me as a threat. So that let me know that I was like on the right path. And if anything, by trying to silence my voice, they actually freed me, because, as a politician, there's only so much that I could do or say. But now that I'm no longer an elected official, guys, like, let me tell you something. Do you understand how freeing it is to be able to just speak openly and frankly and not have to worry about votes or the electorate or whatever? Like, I can literally say whatever I want to say in public, and I don't have to worry about what anyone thinks, right? And for literally 10 years of my life, I could not say yes or no without speaking to the party first and asking permission on whether or not I can say something or opine on something, right? So it is so incredibly freeing now to just be able to speak and just speak the truth and not have to ask permission of anyone to speak my truth. So yeah, I'm very glad I'm here as well, because after 10 years of being silenced, I had enough. Yeah. Oracle of Hecate. Oh yeah, Hecate. That's a Greek goddess. May we all be free from the threat of the Greek or Roman, one of those. May we all be free from the threat of the memory of a 7th century warlord. Islam deserves to be swept under the rug of history. I hope to see Iran become the center of fashion once again. Thank you. I mean, my focus is on political Islam and jihad. Like, whatever people, whatever religion they want to practice in private, like, I have no issues with that. My focus is mainly on jihad and political Islam. So yeah, like, I think, political Islam should definitely be swept under the rug. But Muslims who are sort of like reform Muslims, I have no issues. And in fact, there are a lot of, Iranians, they're not the majority, but there are still Muslim Iranians who are actually against the Islamic regime as well, because they're more like kind of secular Muslims, right? So, but I do appreciate what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, and thank you for the support. Oracle of Hecate, as a real-life historian, I've always prayed that I will be able to visit Iran one day. The recent days have given me hope. Long live the Persians. Thank you. You will love it. Like, every single stone and road and bridge and house and monument in Iran, it's like it's everything is historical. It's such an ancient land, and it's very, very cool. So as a historian, you'll have a lot of fun there. Like, you could spend years there and you won't be able to explore the entire thing. Sergio says, hey Goldie, your analysis is gold. What will happen to the foreign regime supporters like the Afghans and Afghans once the boom booms start hunted? Yeah, I mean, if they're in the way, I guess they'll be in the way. If they're not in the way, I suppose they'll try to escape and leave the country before the Iranians get a hold of them. And if they know what's good for them, they'll leave before the Iranians get their hands on them. Tom for life. IRGC introduced explosively formed penetrators, EFPs, in Iraq against US soldiers in 2007 to 2010. They were nasty, 100%. They also introduced IEDs, and that was all done by Qasem Soleimani. And by the way, President Trump boom-boomed Qasem Soleimani back in 2006. So there you go. Thank you, President Trump, for that. So Qasem Soleimani was not only responsible for the murder of thousands of American personnel, but he was also responsible for the murder of tens of thousands of innocent Iranians. And in fact, when President Trump boom-boomed Qasem Soleimani back in January of 2020, Iranians went out into the streets and they were celebrating and they were, thanking President Trump, and they were calling for the overthrow of the Islamic regime. And, things were getting really heated. And then guess what happened? The coronavirus happened. And all of a sudden, the protests in 2020 died down. So very interesting timing, if you ask me. And the coronavirus is also known as the China virus. So I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that seems a little bit like too much of a coincidence, right? If you know what I mean. Tin Lee says, I think you mean the Varangians. You should look them up with Iran. Okay, yeah, I will look that up. But I heard about a story where the ancient Iranians gave steel swords to the Vikings. And then the reason that the Vikings had amazing steel, swords made of steel is because they bought them from the Iranians. But I'll definitely look into that. All right. Okay. So we're done all the super chats. Let's go back to the live stream, the show. And we're going to finish the opening statements. And then we're going to call it a night. We're definitely going to have a part 2 because I talk way too much during these things because as a former politician, I just have way too much to say. And I apologize for that, guys. But we'll continue now.
Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Smith, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to provide you an update on U.S. Africa Command. I'm joined today by Command Sergeant Major Garrick Banfield, AFRICOM Senior Enlisted Leader. And it's an honor for me to be here today with my friend and colleague, Admiral Cooper, and the Honorable Dan Zimmerman. We all appreciate your unwavering support to our nation's warfighters. Before I start, I'd like to recognize the service of First Lieutenant Kendrick Lamont Key Jr. and Specialist Mariah Collington, who lost their lives in a tragic accident during African Lion. I would also like to thank our allies and partners, particularly Morocco, who stepped forward when it mattered most. Today, the epicenter of global terrorism is in Africa. ISIS leadership is African. Al-Qaeda's economic engine is in Africa. Both groups share the will and intent to strike our homeland. Africa. As the president reported this past Friday, AFRICOM, in close coordination with our Nigerian partners, dealt a significant blow to ISIS global terror.
I don't want to interrupt, but go look at that video about Nigeria and the Nigerian genocide. Africa's controlled by the Islamic regime. It's all connected.
All right, let's continue.
Network. Our successful mission eliminated several key ISIS leaders, to include Abu Bilal al-Manuki, the most active and impactful terrorist in the world. He was the ISIS financial and organizational mastermind plotting attacks against the United States and our interests. Manuki's death disrupts ISIS operations around the world, but only sustained pressure and multidimensional approach with the support of partners united by mutual security interests can address this complex problem. As this recent operation demonstrates, AFRICOM is prioritizing willing and capable partners. We support partners with unique capabilities that only the U.S. can provide, such as ISR, targeting, and precision strike. This approach has taken ISIS leaders off the battlefield in Nigeria and driven their leadership in Somalia underground, putting pressure on the broader ISIS network. In West Africa, Al-Qaeda affiliate JNIM has demonstrated increased capacity to control key terrain in the Sahel, most notably by strangling fuel supplies around population centers. The capture of a capital city would provide Al-Qaeda with all the trappings of a nation state to sponsor global terrorism. With a 75% reduction in our regional posture over the past decade, compounded by the drawdown of our allies, we struggle with an intelligence black hole. Without sufficient indicators and warnings, we risk being blind to the gathering dangers and threats of the region. AFRICOM's lack of expeditionary capabilities and diminished force posture compromises our crisis response. In a crisis, we can surge assets, but you cannot surge trust. Our reduced presence on the continent also allows disruptive actors to drive the agenda and undercut American interests. China views Africa as its second continent, securing control over critical minerals and infrastructure, potentially boxing us out of the resources that energize our industrial base. Africa also serves as Putin's purse, where Russia exploits instability.
Look at that. So not only are China and Russia exploiting Iran through the Islamic regime that's occupying Iran, but China and Russia are also exploiting Africa. Right? It's all guys, it's all connected.
To extract resources, including human lives, to fuel its war machine. To contend with these threats, AFRICOM must think and operate differently. With less than 0.1% of the department's budget, we must maximize every taxpayer dollar to deliver an outsized return on investment. AFRICOM continues to leverage low-cost, high-yield activities to amplify our impact on the continent. International military education and training and the State Partnership Program are reliable force multipliers, forging partnerships with African militaries and demonstrating cost-effective burden sharing. The AFRICOM exercise program is emerging as a battle lab to test and validate new technologies on behalf of both the Joint Force and our African partners. Finally, Africa sits at the crossroads of global commerce and security, bridging strategic terrain between the Atlantic and the Indo-Pacific. It is the world supplier of critical minerals for advanced defense systems and home to 12 of the 20 fastest growing economies. By 2050, it will account for a third of the global working age population. AFRICOM is increasingly focused on this critical convergence of economy and security and stability. Our efforts span all elements of national power, and we coordinate closely with state, commerce, energy, and treasury. The department's new economic defense unit has been an invaluable partner. To defend the homeland, promote U.S. interests, and ensure effective crisis response, AFRICOM needs targeted investments in layered non-traditional ISR, innovative force protection, programs that enable willing and capable partners, the opportunity to expand experimentation, and the ability to respond to crisis at the time and point of need. Africa is a continent of opportunities, not only crises. With the continued support of this committee, I can assure you that every dollar you authorize for AFRICOM will contribute directly to the security, safety, and prosperity of the United States. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, General. Thank all the witnesses for being here in those testimonies. That's very helpful to us. I recognize myself for questions.
He recognizes himself for questions. That's kind of weird, but it's also kind of nice. Like when I was committee chair, I was never allowed to ask questions. I was only able to get others, I could only recognize others to ask questions. So that's a cool difference between American politics and Canadian politics, because when I was committee chair, I could never ask questions, and I had so many questions I wanted to ask. All right, guys, so we're going to stop there. We're literally only 27 minutes into a 3-hour congressional hearing, but like I said, a lot of commentary, a lot of info, a lot of sort of background stuff that I talk about. So we're going to continue this tomorrow night, same time, same place. It's going to be part 2 of the congressional hearing, but I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. So there you go. Let me go to the final super chat here. So Viperus says, by conventional naming procedure for viruses, it should have been called the Wuhan or China flu. Most strains of coronaviruses are influenzas, and it was until Trump started calling it the Chinese flu, at which point calling it that became racist. Of course, because everything that President Trump does, is automatically evil and bad, and everyone has to like fight against it, right? But yeah, didn't President Trump, I think there was like a video about it, right? Like this was like a whole thing. Like and then like everyone started attacking President Trump because he was calling it the China virus. I'm like, well, it's from China. Like it's literally from China. Like, I mean, I don't know. Where was it? Here we go.
I'm a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Marine Corps.
And now I'm at the Walt Disney Company.
Disney honors veterans and everything that we do.
Okay.
They value me because of my service.
This is my pride.
This is my passion.
They were buying nothing. They buy $50 billion worth. They had to. But I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even mention it, frankly, because of what happened with the China virus. We will not let countries come in. But I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even mention it, frankly, because of what happened with the China virus.
The way he says it is so cute. Look, the way he says it, it's so cute. He's like the China virus.
But I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even mention it, frankly, because of what happened with the China virus.
That is a classic. And guys, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Anyways, so yeah, President Trump calling it out for what it is, and then he's accused of, whatever because of Trump derangement syndrome. So anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this evening's live stream. We'll see you tomorrow for Iran Revolution Live with all of the updates, of course, with Armin and myself. And I will see you guys tomorrow night for part 2 of this congressional hearing. Because again, as a former politician, this is like guys, I nerd out. Like I nerd out over this stuff. Like I could watch this stuff for hours. It's just, I don't know, for me, it's fascinating. I apologize. Actually, no, I don't apologize. I don't apologize. It is what it is. I like my political nerd stuff, and you guys just have to deal with that. And yes, I like calling out the Democrats, and it's, you know what? It's also really interesting for me to watch like these political, hearings and, congressional whatever, because having been in their shoes and having been in that situation, it's really easy for me to decode what's going on. Like, for example, this guy's face right here. So let me just share this really quickly because this is really funny. So like this guy here right now, I have been watching this guy's expression for a while. This guy, he just literally does not care. Like, I don't know who he is. This is not like a political party thing. I don't know which party he is, whatever, but I have been watching his expression for the last, the entire time. And he's just sitting there like, what life choices did I make that brought me to this position in life where this guy who's younger than me is the chair of the committee, and me as an older politician, I'm not. So just wanted to add a little bit of commentary there as well. Okay, Kuda says, off topic, but Goldie, do you know of the song from Ihsan Jaconi, Till the Devil is Gone? I will look into that 100%. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I will write that down for sure. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll see you all tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
غرق انقلاب است.
کشور ما، تاریخ ما ترسید گر فرا گرفته، گویی اهورا مستا دوباره در نور خود مرا گرفته. هشتون سرودی سر میدهم باز فارغ از رنج و تشویش، ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. هن ای پدر، هن ای پسر، برخیز و باماش و هنگام، تا درد آن تجربه تلخ ما را نکشیده در خواب. بگذار هر دم بغرند گرگ‌ها دم لباس میش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ای کارگر، ای برزگر، راحت کنون ادامه دارد در این زمان که پرتو یزدان از هر سو بر تو میبارد. پس پیش به سوی آزادی از بحر خزر تا کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. خلقا به پا بهر دفاع از استقلال و آزادی، تا بشکنیم پشت ارتجاع تیریزی ویران آبادی. تا زنده سازیم سنت‌های می از بر آیین و کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.
با امید روزی که تمام این دلبشو و انقلاب تموم بشه و ما در روشنایی، نور و سعادت مردم کشورمون غرق بشیم.
نه خارجی، نه بیگانه، نه مستشارهای ویرانی، نه چیر خاران، نه کاسه لیسان، فقط هم رزمان ایرانی. آبا شرافت میهنی بسازی بهر فرزندان خویش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. مردان بیایی داخل صف ما اکنون که آغاز رویاست. دشمنان بدانی ما زنده هستی، بعد از ما هم ایران پابرجاست. آن روح شیطان ما را فریب داد با صد شعار مردمیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. پرچم ما، پرچم ایران غرق خون شهیدان، روی شانه هامان حمل میکنیمش در هر خیابان و میدان. تا ماسک دلقکان را برداریم از روی تسبیح و ریش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش.